So the focus for my inquiry is how to make sure that students understand the intentions for both teaching and learning in every lesson without distracting from learning time. So the teaching strategy that I used to try and encapsulate this understanding for students was based on a Google form that I'd used before. It works with solo taxonomy and rapid formative assessment, John Hattie. What we're trying to do really is get students to see with good learning intentions that they can constantly reflect on what it is that they're trying to learn in the lesson and constantly kind of steering them back towards the learning and what is the intention. And hopefully, because they can assess it multiple times during the lesson, it gives you a good visual clue. I use Google prolifically, and it gives me a good clue of whether students are struggling, and it means that they don't have to put their hand up and constantly ask questions and come back to you. So the display that was up in my classroom, there's some of the titles are just coming through now, and you can see that the learning, as you go through it, we're starting to see that the understanding is getting more complex. We've got multiple ideas, and we're moving towards the kind of nirvana or point where they can apply this learning in a conceptual understanding and hopefully achieve better in their achievement standard. So some of the barriers that I came across were that students had relatively poor G Suite literacy, that they were used to teaching spaces that were much more individually orientated, and that made it quite difficult to kind of work collaboratively and use some of these newer skills. And one of the other things I came across was the idea of credit harvesting, which really kind of devalued the nature of the learning that was going on in the classroom. So I decided to adjust what I was doing, and instead of using multiple classrooms, I just used one to try and dilute some of the factors that were polluting the inquiry's intention. So in the second time round on the teaching and learning phase, I selected a class where classroom learning behaviour was already established, and I spent a lot of time working on my learning intentions. Because my subject knowledge wasn't great, being first year teaching health, I really concentrated on that because I kind of had quite low self-efficacy on those. There were a few barriers as well. My classroom environment wasn't really conducive to the locus of control being centrally located, and it's kind of, they're used to having it more towards the teacher being the knowledge holder. So what did I learn? That the form could increase student understanding of learning intentions and subsequent engagement if the following were considered for me specifically. For me to get a better understanding of the subject content knowledge and understanding the layout for achievement standards and the way that they're programmed would be really important to be able to understand that. And the other one would be a kind of continuous use or continuity of use of ICT across the age groups. If the form were used as a regular feature in lessons, it would help to get students to place more value in understanding the learning phase and may lessen the predominant focus on outcomes and credits, getting them to see the bigger picture.